Hey there, it's Dan Francis. Please call me if you're dealing with someone in addiction. If you're a mom, a dad, a spouse, an employer, a friend, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do to help that person. Here's what I mean in some of the other videos, I talk about a policy. There's spiritual policies. What is your spiritual policy? And this falls into the much broader idea of healthy boundaries and drawing the line and I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. We can fall victim to being really angry, really hurt, super guilty with this loved one in our life that's got that demon called addiction. And I say a demon, I don't mean like, ancient religion demon. I mean that you and I would agree that they're a different person when they're sober. They're a different person when they're not using. So who is this imposter coming in when they are? Where does that personality come from? Anyway, policy. All you're doing is picking really simple things like never give money, never give shelter, and never give transportation while they're actively using. By choosing those simple policies, it's easy for them to understand and much easier for you to maintain. Now, we got to do this with a compassionate heart. So when do we break this policy? Well, we don't. They're conditional policies. However, those conditions you do not communicate in the same conversation. You wait for the thing to happen. Because if you say to an addict, hey, but if you want to ride to a rehab, I'll give you that. That's a great way to get across town. I don't know about you, but when I was out there using, that might be a way to get someone to take you somewhere. So watch out for that. I know we all think that we're just going to tell them, you can't use when you live in my house. And does that work at all anywhere? Anywhere? That's not going to work. So don't give them shelter. They'll be fine in a tent if that's where they got to be. They're not homeless. They're in the right situation for their current circumstances. It's harsh, but it's true. And then the third one, the third policy after you don't give them any money, you don't give them transportation, you don't give them shelter, is money, because you don't want to fund the addiction. And it's a simple idea. It was very difficult for me to even make it home if I had just a little extra money. So a policy, simple ideas that hold absolutely no matter what happens. And that leaves you room to maintain the jostling of compassion and concern, the shame, guilt some of us have in dealing with our addicted loved ones, all that. You got to have space to deal with that, and you will never give it to you if the addict is deciding where you're going to be, what you're going to spend your money on, and how you're going to act, and takes over your life. Don't let it happen. Simple policies, spiritual policies.